brother, and like I'll still see like, all right, can I keep up with the get-offs? Like, can I keep up with the weights? Like, that's one thing that, just like we talked about earlier, I haven't been able to let go of the workout part of it. Well, first of all, you were always the coolest dude in the room. Any room, literally. You could be in any room in the world and you're the coolest dude in it. So I was never going to try and compete on a cool aspect of that.
Trust me, I had to go to bat for you, and as funny as it sounds, like Dre know, you know, when you first took off, for every question, everywhere you go, man, is that white boy really that good?
And at the same time, it was also a little sad moment because I thought about how I never get to do it again.
Right.
And that hurt. I mean, we still need a statue of Cortland Finnegan outside of our stadium. Like, if we don't get a statue of that, we failed. Like that, we can take his number off of his back or take his name off, but that has to, like, we need the statue outside. I'll petition for it to the day. We need that.
JJ, man, super excited to have you on today.
Thank you.
Bro.
I'm very excited to be here. This could go a lot of ways.
A lot of ways. Quick. I don't even know if he's JJ no more. I seen that new commercial.
So, Jay, tell us about just growing up, like a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was one of 3 boys. I was the oldest one, so we always battled in the backyard, and I think that's partially what made us better. My dad was a firefighter, so he always taught us, you know, work ethic, discipline, those types of things. My mom started as a secretary at her company and worked her way up to become the vice president of that company. So my mom was hard on us in school, my dad was hard on us in sports, and we just pushed each other and tried to make each other better, and mainly just messed around, but became great athletes because of it. And I'm very, very fortunate to have had an incredible support system that got me to where I am.
I always admired this from afar, like for your mother to have 3 men that played in the NFL. Like that's to me, that's unheard of. Like you're just happy for one person to make it, right? But to have 3 sons to play in the NFL, tell me what that was like and how you felt about that.
I appreciate it. I think it's a testament to them, our parents, because I think they instilled in us the belief that we could, which from our high school, 1 person had ever made it to the NFL. So it's not like you have this crazy number of blueprints in front of us, like 1 person in history. But our parents always made us believe we could. And then the second part of it was they taught us how to make that a reality. They taught us how to work. They taught us how to be disciplined. They taught us how to take care of our studies and take care of our practice and do the extra. So I think it was that combination of building the belief in ourselves and the work ethic to back it up.
I got a chance to spend a week out there with you guys in Wisconsin, and you know, TJ and them boys was young, and you know, you being a role model, leading by example. Did you ever fathom, like, you know, obviously you was put into that position, but did you know that you would naturally become a leader, you know, for your brothers to fall into your footstep, and obviously look at the career TJ's having and things like that? Like, for me, it's kind of crazy just to think back.
There's a video of like me and Cush and Connor Barwin training, like when my first year in the league, and TJ's there pushing prowlers with us, and it's not on the video, but he's puking off to the side and coming back in and training with us. Like, those types of experience, I guess I was probably a little naive in thinking that, like, it was just expected that we were going to make it work. I knew they were going to be successful because I watched them work, and we didn't know anything else. Like, my parents, like I told you, they taught us that if you have a dream and you go after it, you can accomplish it. So it wasn't a matter of can they make it to the NFL, it's when will they. And I think it was just that, and then them being able to be around this, being able to see you guys. Like, I wish you could see some of the group chats of my brothers and I, because they tell stories about you two. Like, they tell stories about K-Jack. Like, they're telling me stories about Sean Cody and, like, the softball game and all this stuff. Like, they lived their entire childhood watching you guys, and that's all they've ever known.
Did you have any offers coming out of high school, or how did that go? Because I've heard some stories about that.
I was a 2-star on one of the sites, and I was a 0-star on the other.
Okay.
But so, like, in high school, you have like that camp circuit. You go do camps and you get offers. I got mono in high school, so I didn't get to do the camp circuit. But I got a couple offers here and there. Wyoming was my first offer. Never forget it. Thought it was the coolest, craziest thing ever. My dad got on a plane, flew my tape out to Miami, or to Wyoming, put it on the table, and then flew back home, same day. And they ended up offering me, and then a couple other schools offered. But I was like that kid in the candy store. I was like, I got an offer. Central Michigan offered, and I went and visited Brian Kelly, and I ended up committing there. I had a long recruitment. It was kind of crazy. I committed to Central Michigan. Brian Kelly left for Cincinnati. So I committed to Minnesota. Glenn Mason got fired. So then I just committed back to Central Michigan. It was like, let me just go back to where I know. But then I started as a true freshman at tight end, but we ran the spread. Tight end didn't do much, and I could tell like they wanted to move me to offensive tackle because Joe Staley was a great player who did the same thing. But that wasn't my destiny. Like I knew that wasn't for me. I wanted to make plays. I wanted to be able to control my own destiny. And so I transferred to Wisconsin, walked on, and the rest is kind of history.
What made you go from Central Michigan to Wisconsin?
Wisconsin was always the dream. I grew up there. I grew up watching the Badgers. I grew up seeing Ron Dane win the Rose Bowl. Right. In Wisconsin, there's the Green Bay Packers and there's the Wisconsin Badgers. Right. That's what you watch. And it's almost like it's a mythical, like unattainable level, you know? And so when they told me like I was too small out of high school and they didn't have an offer and they didn't even have a walk-on spot, I was almost like, yeah, I get it. Like you're Wisconsin. Like but then after my first year at Central Michigan, I was like, I'm chasing my dream. Like that's my dream. Let me at least go chase it. If I have to walk on and I fail, at least I can live with myself and say I tried.
And I'm gonna fast forward a little bit, talking about when you got drafted. And I just want to ask you about a story. I don't know if you heard this story or not, but I'm gonna just tell it now. Because I remember when I came here and everybody wanted to get Nnamdi Asomugha, and they got me and Danielle Manning. Yeah. And then I just remember hearing through the waves that they wanted to draft Alden Smith or whatever. And obviously he went to the 49ers, and then that you slipped down. And I remember the people kind of booing or whatever. And I wasn't really here for the draft because it was a lockout year. You know, it was a weird year that year. Yeah. And it kind of happened fast. And just me thinking back like, damn, they was booing, you know. Yeah. And now just to look at it.
They did boo. I can confirm.
So, but I get it, though. The draft is like, well, Wisconsin, you hear Wisconsin.
Yeah.
You know, you're looking for the SEC or whatever.
Yes.
They have no idea, you know.
No, so on draft night, I know that in the spot that they wanted, they were looking at like Prince Amukamara, they were looking at Nick Fairley, like the fans were like, they wanted these guys. I think Nick Fairley was in the national championship game and wreaked havoc and all these things. On draft night, I was sitting there and I had actually heard that the Texans and the Cardinals were planning on trading picks. The Cardinals had 5 and the Texans had 11. And I believe that the Texans were going to take Patrick Peterson at 5, and then the Cardinals were going to take me at 11. Didn't end up working out for whatever reason, and I ended up playing for both teams anyways.
It's one of my greatest memories of you being your teammate. And it was a play, it was our first playoff game. The pick against Cincinnati. I tell people all the time, I've never, ever heard that stadium get that loud ever in my life. And I played, you know, I've been here forever. You're the only person I ever really seen do that. Like, just, you come out your stands and just pick a ball off. Like, how does that happen? Like,
well, it was partially because my pass rush was so bad that I had to stand at the line. I didn't beat the guy in front of me, so I just had to stand there and like hope he threw it my way. And then I almost tripped on my way to the end zone. But for me, that was
the dance was funny at the end.
My dances are it's embarrassing. It's really, really bad. I watch all these highlights and like I'm like, someday my son's gonna watch these and he's gonna see some really cool. And then he's going to see some embarrassing stuff. But that was obviously kind of like coming out party, whatever you want, like for not only myself, but for our whole squad. Like, we first ever playoff appearance, first ever playoff win. Like, this city was on fire, man. And like, for me, that was, I tell people all the time, like I played 12 years in the league, but those first 2 years were the best I've ever been a part of because of the chemistry that we had, because of the squad that we had, how good we were. It always crushes me that we didn't fulfill what I believe our potential was, because we were really something special. And those, not only the stuff on the field, man, but the locker room, we had such a great, great team.
Yeah, I tell people that all the time. I think for me, and I think, you know, me and J. Joe talk about it a lot too. Like, I think the thing we miss is the locker room. Mm-hmm. Like, you miss the locker room, you miss the plane rides, the bus rides, and things of that nature. You know, as far as playing the game, I don't have to play it ever again. But when I get to be around the guys, is what we, you know, what we miss about it.
And we were on those small planes back then. We were in the way back. Like, it was guys sitting right next to each other. Dude,
One seat in the middle.
It was crazy. Like people now, like those report cards. Report cards would be pretty back then.
Oh my
But
God.
like that was the best. It was almost better because you just didn't care about anything else. We were just hanging out in the back of the plane, balling, and then after the game, you were just having a great time, dude. It was.
You can't get that feeling back.
No.
You can never. I can never get the feeling of picturing you and Cushing against Kevin Johnson tossing that football in the trash can. That's like.
Yes, man. Like all those little things. Like I'll never like. We used to have the things between the DBs and the D line where if we got sacks, it was this. If you guys got picks, it was that. Like. There's just nothing better than coming in a Monday after a win, and it's just we're all just hanging out. We have the donuts on Saturday morning, like you have the dinners on Thursday nights. Those are the best, and those are the things, like you said, you miss the most, and that you can never get back, no matter how much you try and recreate it. You know?
There was a time where it just flipped for you as a player. When did you feel like that moment was?
That's what I was going to ask too, but because I missed it. I don't know. I missed it. I was playing.
It was. I can very distinctly tell you when it was, and I've told this story a couple times, and I always preface it by saying I don't recommend this for people, but this is what it was for me. So I came in as a rookie, and I was drafted 11th, so they put me as a starter right away. And I'll never forget, Amobi Okoye was incredible about it. He was the guy before me, but he helped me learn, knowing full well that I was taking his spot. Amobi was awesome. But I came in, and they put me in that role right away, and I started to struggle a little bit, like especially in the first few games. Like I was playing 3 technique, and I was getting cut off by the guard on these backsides. And so I got into a game, I think it was the 4th game of the season against the Ravens, and Marshall Yonda's the guard. And I get cut off on this as a 3 technique, and I come off to the sideline, and Bill Kolar just rips me to shreds. You guys know, I mean, just rips me to shreds. I go out the next series, same thing, just get cut off again. I come back to the sideline, Kolar just destroys me. The 3rd time I get cut off again, I come to the sideline, Kolar looks at Cap, our trainer, and goes, Cap, take his helmet away. He's never going back in this game. So I'm sitting there on the sideline, like as a rookie, just dejected. Like, I suck at football. My coach hates me. I'm never going to play again. This is the worst thing ever. We get on the flight. We go home. On the way home, I literally lived at Old Spanish Trail Apartments right over here.
Domain.
So I stop at the grocery store right over here. I pick up a 12-pack, and I go to my house. I'm like, this sucks. I'm just going to drink by myself. So I go and I drink by myself, and I ended up cutting on some high school highlights just because I was like, I need to feel good about myself, like that I can play football. So I start cutting on some high school highlights. I start cutting on some college highlights, and I'm getting like 7 or 8 deep here. And all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? You can beat this if you want, but that guy. Like, that guy. I'm good at football. Like, those guards. Like, I'm good at football. Like, if I'm going to go out, I was trying to be so perfect with my technique, with my hands, with my feet. I was trying to do it exactly how he taught on every single play. And I finally, that night, probably because of the libations, I was like, just go out there and play, man. If you get cut and if you don't make it, at least do it your way. And so then I started playing a little more free, and they started giving me a little more freedom. But it was a combination of then Bill reined me in with, I gave some of my freedoms, and then he was able to rein me back in and teach me the technique that I needed. And somehow it magically married up and turned into a great player. But Bill Kolar, absolutely hated him for about the first 8 weeks of my NFL career. And now I love him like, best friend, and I'm so thankful for him. And then I got to give credit to Wade Phillips. Wade Phillips was an unbelievable man to play for and gave me so much confidence that I never would have had if it weren't for him.
Trust me, I had to go to bat for you. And as funny as it sounds, like Dre know, when you first took off, for every question, everywhere you go, man, is that white boy really that good? Man, trust me.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to enjoy out of, I'm going back, I'm running through practice. I'm looking at the one-on-ones. I love to watch it. You know what I mean? So for me as a player playing with you, like, I just got to let you know just how appreciative it was. Like, you made my job easier every time we took the field. And now looking back on it, like you said, I don't even know when it took off, because before I knew it, it was 17 sacks, 18, 20, back to back to back. And then they put you on offense. People see some of the interceptions in the game. I had to watch you destroy some of my defenders in practice. I was like, man, this dude is getting out of hand.
No, I got to tell you guys, man, like you, Jack, D-Man, like all the guys on the back end, like for a defensive lineman, it makes our job so incredibly easy. And I think that was the beauty of why Wade Phillips' defense works so well. Wade loves cover one. Like, he wants to run cover one. He wants to run man-to-man. You can't do it if you don't have dogs at corner. And we had you and J. Joe and guys out there shutting people down. So for me, it was Sac City because I just got to eat. I give a ton of credit to you guys. I always talk about, obviously, Aaron Donald's an unbelievable player. He played in the Wade Phillips system as well. Same thing, like dogs on the back end, let the front end eat. And that's when football is really fun.
Because I remember when there's a chance you thought you can just walk around, like you say, you went in the grocery store, got a 12-pack, and then all of a sudden it became, you couldn't even go in the gallery or mall. Yeah. Talk about how that felt.
It was a little wild because, you know, I'm a kid from Wisconsin. I come down to Houston. I've never been here before, and so I'm going to Cavender's and I'm getting like cowboy hat and cowboy boots. Like I'm walking around H-E-B, like getting my groceries. And then I think it was probably like, I mean, it was definitely the playoff game after that, where like you go to H-E-B and you're like, all right, this is taking like an hour and 45 minutes to get my groceries because everybody wants pictures. And then it just kind of snowballed. And then you're doing the commercials and then everything starts to blow up. And nobody can ever prepare you for how to handle it. Like nobody could have ever taught me or told me how to handle it because you just kind of have to experience it. And there's definitely certain things that I would look back on and like having the wisdom I have now, I would handle them differently and I would do things differently. But I also realize the life I have is because of it. And so I'm unbelievably grateful. I have a connection with the city of Houston, Texas that never in my wildest dreams would I imagine that here would feel like family.
Right.
But every time I get here and I step off the plane or I walk around, it truly, truly feels like family. And I think you guys probably feel that the same. Like something about it. They've embraced me and I'm so grateful.
The one regret is we flew back on that plane from the music awards. We should have partied that night.
You're right. You're right. That's one of those things. One of those things. Like where I'm like, did you really need to get back that night? Like I was like, there's a lot of stuff like that I look at where I'm like, all right, hard. Like why were you so tough? Like, did it matter on March 30th that you were in the gym? You couldn't have one night with your boys in Nashville?
That's what that went to the
country music awards.
Yeah, like I got a jet. I brought a bunch of the guys.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then like I was like, no, we got to get back so we can train the next day. And everybody's like, dude, just let us party. And I was like, no, we need to get back.
So y'all went from the show straight back to Houston?
Yeah, I remember Arnold.
We saw Arnold.
Yeah. Like, come on, stay with us, party. They're like, we got to get back.
Yeah.
I'm like, just looking how I was so
stupid, yeah. Talk about stuff that you look back on. You know, Arnold Schwarzenegger was asking Ben Jones to come party with him. And Ben Jones is doing an Arnold impression back to him. And I'm saying, no, let's get back to the plane. What a dumb man.
That's crazy because I would have partied. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I know.
I ain't gonna lie, I was a little jealous. I see y'all guys on that trip. I ain't get to make that trip. I think I was in Indy,
you were big into the country music awards?
No, I'm not big into it. I just wanted to go to.
It was fun, man. Who we had? We had Kush. We had you had Ben,
Jack.
Jack. It was a good trip.
Other trips.
I would always see you like stay after practice. Like I remember, I think it was the Hard Knocks thing, and it was one like they showed you like staying after practice, and I was in Indy, I think at the time when the Hard Knocks was here, and I had guys asking, they were like, man, is he really like that? Like, you know, like, does he like really do that? And I'm like, yeah, like he worked his ass off. Like, so what do you think that came from? Like what made you that way?
I think part of it is how I was raised. Like I said, my parents, that's what they taught me. Literally, they taught me like, you want to be great, work to be great, put in the work. And then once I got to the NFL, it was people are paying you millions of dollars, fans are watching you, like you better go out there and earn that. So there was that in me. But then there was also the part of me that felt that obligation to this place, to my teammates, to the city, that I had to be that person. And now I fully understand that people would question it. Some people look at it, call it cheesy, whatever it is. And there's definitely some cheesy that I'm like, all right, like you were a little cheesy. But the one thing that was never cheesy was the work. Like there might be some things with, trying to act like Captain America and some like the squeaky clean image and all that. But the work was never a joke. Like that was always true because and it probably was a part of my downfall, honestly, with some of my injuries. Like I thought I was Superman. I thought that I could lift every weight in the gym. I thought I could run routes with the receivers. I thought I could do sprints with the DBs.
Squat with a bad back.
Yeah, like I just thought like, and like when I got injured, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be back faster than anybody in history has ever been back.
You want to know the crazy thing? It's funny you bring that up about you felt like you can go through anything. I remember when you dislocated your elbow. in training camp. And I could remember it so vividly. It was like you could hear a rat piss on cotton. Like everybody got so quiet, like the fans, everybody. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, like
Dude, that was bad.
this just didn't happen. But I remember seeing you in the training room, and it was like a couple days later you was doing push-ups, and I'm like, there's no way this dude finna bounce back. Like he's doing push-ups. You literally just dislocated your elbow a couple days ago, and now you're doing push-ups. Yeah. So it's just like, what was it like? You just always felt like you can always come back.
I'm telling you, man. I thought I was Superman. I'm telling you, like, especially then, because I did. So
hard not to.
Yeah. So that day, that was Brian Cushing playing linebacker, and Aaron Foster playing running back.
I saw it.
Dude, it was unbelievable.
He literally ran straight through your arm.
It was unreal. My arm was in the worst position. If you saw two trains coming down the track, I just stuck my arm between both of them. And Arian came this way, and Cush came this way, and my arm was right here, and just poof. So my elbow facing the other way. Cap, our trainer, comes out and he's like, oh yeah, that's dislocated. I'm like, no Cap, it's facing the wrong way. And he goes, all right, I'm gonna put it back in. He goes to put it back in, bone on bone. He missed. And then he goes to put it back in again. He gets it in. He goes, oh wow, that's my first time doing that. I was like, yeah, I could tell. You missed the first time, dude. So then I got to go to the hospital and get on my MRIs and everything. But like you said, they pop it back in, basically tell me I have no tendons left, but we're not gonna fix it because I'm not a pitcher, so I don't need the tendons. Right. I don't know any better, so I'm like, all right. 2 days later, I'm like, let me just see how I feel. I do a push-up on the desk, and then they call Dr. Lowe over, and Dr. Lowe watches me do a push-up, and he's like, I've never seen that before. And so I'm like, damn right you haven't. like, damn right you haven't seen that before. Like, wait till you see what I'm about to do. And he's like, well, there's no way you're going to be ready for the first week, but I think in a couple weeks, I was like, buddy, I got this. And then I think that just honestly built my confidence for that and some of my naivety and innocence and stupidity, because I just, from that point forward, I was like, nothing can stop me. Like, I'm fine.
Yeah, bro, I swear, like, I could remember it very vividly. I remember seeing Kush run through your arms because I wasn't even in on the play when it happened. So I remember I'm standing on the sideline, and when I saw it, I'm like, oh no, like I know this just didn't happen right.
I remember you talking about it. You say Kush ran right through.
Yeah, I'm like, me, you got to think. I'm like, why would Kush do that? Like, I'm pissing out because I'm like, Kush ran straight through.
Dude, think about that squad.
But
like,
I think we were doing like a live.
It was
drill
live, yeah.
too.
It was live. So I was trying to tackle.
Yeah.
Think about that craziness of that sentence alone. Like, you got Brian Cushing, Arian Foster, myself.
Right. But it was what's the name that was even more jacked up, if I remember it correctly, who was really coming down here. Bradie James.
Love some Bradie James, man. Love some Bradie James. I'll never forget, because when that happened, when I dislocated my elbow, Kolar looked like he was going to cry. And that was the first moment that I was like, this guy actually cares about me. I was like, yeah, you know what? He's all right.
When that happened, and that's when I'm like, you were already taking off at that time in your career. But like, when that happened, just to see the way the people reacted, like everybody was like, what the like, because you know, we thinking like he's gonna be out for some games. You know, we don't know when he'll come back. But to see you doing push-ups like a few days later, I'm like,
well, that was also a few days after Wade. I always give Wade credit for this. Wade, before my second season ever started. So I mean, this was like I had a decent end of the rookie year, but I hadn't done anything crazy yet. And Wade had told the media like he's going to be a bust, not a first round bust, but a Hall of Famer. And I read that and literally read it in the paper, and I was like, Wade Phillips, like Coach Reggie White, like Coach Alex, he just said I'm going to be a Hall of Famer. There's something about when somebody you look up to believes in you, and like it's kind of like I told you with my parents before, when they put that, they bestow that upon you, you all of a sudden have no choice but to become a bigger version of yourself and fulfill that destiny. And so I always give Wade credit because he put a belief in me that I didn't even have in myself at that time. And all I wanted to do was make him right. They also told me he stood on the table for me to get drafted here. So my whole career, I just wanted to prove Wade right and make him proud of me.
Me and Bradie James was actually on a plane. We were coming from a game. And he came over to me, we were just talking. And he was like, Dre. He was like, JJ gonna be that dude. And I'm like, really? Like, he was like, no, Dre. He was like, Dre, he that good. And I never shared that with you until now. But we were I can't remember where we were coming from. I think it might have been a preseason game or something. But it was early, like in the year. And he was sitting on a plane and we were just talking, and he shared that with me. And it's crazy, like you say, you don't know, just people having that belief in you. It gives you so much confidence to, want to accomplish more. And
Bradie to me was a very underrated player here because he doesn't get enough credit. Bradie James.
Very.
Like, A, from a leadership standpoint, B, we were top 2, top 3 defense at that time, and a big part of it was because Bradie allowed me to be me. So like I'm well aware that I did some.
He always said that to me. He was like, Dre, I will let him do him, and I'm going to fix whatever is messed up.
It was unbelievable. And he was so selfless about it. And at the same time, I had Jared Crick on the other side who did the same thing. Crick knew he wasn't going to have – Crick is the best. He was like, I'm not going to have these big sack numbers. I'm not going to have anything flashy, but I'm going to push the pocket on the other side so you do what you do on your side.
Right.
And Bradie was right behind me doing the exact same thing. Crick is just in there pushing the pocket. I know damn well that quarterback is not going to escape out Crick's side, so it's up to me to make the play. But Bradie was the same way. Like, Bradie basically, he would stare at me and he'd be like, you take whichever gap you want, I got the other one.
Right.
Not everybody's like that because everybody else wants their own numbers. They want their own stats. But he knew that I had those instincts to take that advantage, and he had my back. And I'll never forget Bradie for that. And then when I talk about Thursday dinners, I always think about Bradie James because he was like an older vet at those Thursday dinners, literally sometimes teaching me how to use which fork at a steakhouse, like how to order oysters. Like, I never ordered oysters before. He helped teach me how to eat oysters. Like, Antonio Smith taught me how to eat sushi for the first time. Like, those are the things you remember. He took me to Kata Robata for the first time ever. I'd never eaten sushi before besides grocery store sushi. Now I go to Kata Robata once a week because it's my favorite restaurant in the world. So, like, those are the coolest things, man.
Being at the top. Worst thing about sports is the entry part, and obviously when you the guy, that's the first time you probably feel like, well, you excluded. Well, all right, they don't need me. They ain't talking to me as much. Talk about that feeling because, it takes to be in that position to actually understand it where, like, you're almost helpless.
It's the worst feeling in the world because not only are you trying to physically heal and get yourself back, but you feel like you're letting everybody down. And sometimes you put that weight on your own shoulders when not everyone's even putting it on you. You're putting it on yourself. So, like, I'm sitting there in the training room every day while you guys are at practice, and I'm thinking, man, I make a lot of money. I make a lot of plays. Like, I want to help this. I want to do anything possible. And right now, I'm just a sack of potatoes sitting on this table. And every day I would just beat myself down, like, thinking about that. And it was every time a guy now gets injured, I try and talk to them and teach them that that's not the mindset to have because, like, it's sports. Everybody, you're going to get in. If you play long enough, you're going to get injured. That's just how it goes. So I really try now. One of my biggest things is helping young guys understand if they get injured, the mindset and the mentality of it is just as important as the physical part because that will break you down, man. There's been some very, very dark days.
On game day, when they would always give us like the 2 minutes before we would go out for warm-ups, I never put my shoulder pads on until it was like receivers 2 minutes, and we'll go out. That was like my switch. What was your switch?
Well, first of all, you were always the coolest dude in the room. Any room, literally. You could be in any room in the world and you're the coolest dude in it. So I was never going to try and compete on a cool aspect of that. But mine, it's kind of funny because I would always get so hyped up before the game. Yes. Too hyped up. Way too hyped up in warm-ups, like jacked up. So after warm-ups, when you come back in, before intros and all that, I learned that I had to calm myself down. So I'd go in the training room, I'd put my headphones on, I'd turn on Adele. Because I just needed, like, I was like, dude, you got it. You're going to lose all of your energy. So I'd go in, I'd put on Adele, and I would just sit there for like 5-6 minutes, just listen to Adele and be like, all right, calm down. It's all going to be good. As soon as I was done with that, Connor Barwin taught me this trick. I go into the steam room. I put my helmet on, my shoulder pads on, I go into the steam room because it helped, like, you know how your helmet sometimes is a little stiff when you first put it on? So he taught me if you go in the steam room, everything settles into your body, and it really did. And so it kind of lathered me up, and like I went out there, and I was like, I already feel like I had like a quarter under me, So that's what I did, and then I went out there, and I mean, the crowd hits and they play turn down for what, or like you make a play and then life is good.
Is there anything you wish you can do over as a Texan?
A billion things. I always say, like, anybody who tells you they don't have any regrets is either lying or the perfect person, because there's plenty of things that now, do I look at some things and I learned from them, I grew from them, I became a better person because of them? Absolutely. But there's plenty of things I wish I would have done different. And as you grow older, you have wisdom. I think I could have been a better leader. I think I could have been better about my injuries and my rehabs and being smarter about managing myself so that I could stay on the field and be more useful. I think I could have, I always say you don't realize the good old days until they're the good old days. Like appreciating every moment and understanding when I was in it, how special it was, and not running off after a night at the Country Music Awards and like thinking you have to sprint back to the weight room, like trying to take it in. Like I do think there's a big part of me that I missed out on really embracing those moments and those memories. And I think that's probably the biggest thing that I would do slightly differently, is not speed through it all.
Yeah, I remember I got you to come to a New Year's party I did.
Oh yeah.
That might have been the first time I ever think you ever came out. And I remember, like, I was telling my friends, I was like, man, I'm gonna get JJ to come. And they were like, man, he ain't gonna come. I'm like, what if I tell him he's gonna come?
Yeah, if Andre tells me something, I'm gonna be there. Yeah.
But I get it now though. Like back then, I wasn't thinking. Like you from Wisconsin.
We didn't have nightclubs, man. We didn't have a lot going on, right? No, you might not remember it, but the first time you ever asked me somewhere, we went to Washington Street.
Yeah, remember the guy wouldn't let me in because of my shoes?
I tell this story all the time.
He went off. He was like, do you know who the hell that is? Like, he was going crazy.
It was my rookie year. Andre was like, let's go out. I literally was like, you talking to me? Like, I was looking at him. And he was like, yeah. So it was just me and Andre, and I'm literally like sweating. I'm like, holy shit. Like, I'm out with Andre. He's like, all right, we're going to go to Washington. I pull up on Washington. Like, hey, we go to the door. The doorman's like, I'm sorry, sir, you can't come in.
Because of my shoes.
Because of his shoes. They were like all white. And I was like, what? And he was like, no, he's like, you can't come in, man. And I go, that's Andre Johnson. I was like, that's Andre Johnson. He's like, I don't care. And all of a sudden, this manager came like sprinting out of the back. And he's like, no, they're good, they're good. I was like, yeah, you f***ing psychopath. Like, we're in Houston, Texas, and you're going to tell Andre Johnson he can't come in? He could be wearing flip-flops if he wants. Unbelievable. No, but I don't think you know and appreciate what that meant to me. You inviting me out as a rookie, like.
Yeah. I was talking to GQ, Global Quinn, one day, and he told me, he said, when I was a rookie, I used to be scared to speak to you. And I was like, why? But he was like, I remember you coming up to me and saying, I think he had got like a pick in practice or something one day. And he said, I walked by him and like tapped him like, good job. And he was like, that gave him like confirmation of like, okay, like Drake speaking to me. And I'm like, I was the most.
You didn't speak for what are you talking about?
I didn't speak in the locker room a lot, but I was okay with my teammates. Like,
no, you were great, but you.
I think it's the star aspect of it. I think it's the superstar aspect of it.
Yeah, but he's also super quiet. Super quiet. You can't say.
But I would come, J-Jo. I would come and sit at a locker every day, and with him and K-Jack, and we would sit down there and crack jokes every day after practice.
But when I was with the Bengals and when we signed T.O., like I didn't say nothing for T.O. for a while though. You know, I talked to everybody, but like I didn't know what to say at first. I don't know how he gonna react. I don't know what. Doubt. I just see he got this look on his face.
We all had that because you're up on a pedestal first of all, and then you don't speak a lot to begin with. So you're like, I'm definitely not saying the first words to him, and he's probably not going to say any words to me. So you're probably like, oh, these guys don't talk to me that much. We're like, he doesn't talk to us that much. We're just like ships in the night passing by. And if you tap me on the leg and said good play, that would have been the same reaction. It's it's just the same thing with Wade with me.
Right.
You did that to GQ, and he probably was like, Andre believes in me,
right.
So now I'm gonna like. You have that effect on everybody.
Same thing. He wanted me here, and that's why I tell everybody all the time. I'm like, Dre wanted me to come to Houston.
I recruited him here.
No way. I didn't know that.
Was at my boy's
wedding. I still didn't know that.
So we had a mutual. So Fred Bennett, who
played corner with me in college.
They played together in college. We were at the wedding, and I see J-Jo, and because we had played against each other or whatever, and I just went in straight recruitment mode. We talked the whole weekend.
Yeah. And you never met before?
Well, we just
crossing
playing
paths,
each other, but we never had like met like. So I really got to know him that weekend, like.
And it was lockout too, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was lockout. Yep.
And so he ended up. I went and told Rick, I'm like, hey, I think I got Jonathan, you know. So
I went right home to it, man. Dre want me to come to Houston. Dre want me to. It's stamp.
Influence, man.
You were involved, part owner of a soccer team.
Yeah.
How do you get involved in that?
I needed something to give me the adrenaline. You guys know, like, there's nothing like game day, like having that adrenaline or having something you're working towards. And so for me, I knew I wanted something to fill that void. I've always been interested in the soccer world. My wife obviously played for a long time, but the European soccer game really intrigued me. And so I wanted to get involved and ended up finding the perfect situation, and it has fulfilled it to a T, because like every Saturday I got something to watch, and you know, you kind of live and die with every kick, and you still get that adrenaline, and almost more so because you're like, I can't control anything. I can't make a play. I'm hoping these guys make plays. But then in the boardroom and a lot of the decisions, it's really been enjoyable for me to learn it and to be on that ownership side, to see a completely different world.
How often do you get to go to the game?
So last year I went to about 10, 11 games. This year I've been to 3 or 4. So I go over there. I try and
That's
get
quite
over
a
there.
few.
Yeah, I try and get over
Quite a
like
few.
4 or 5 times a year.
Okay.
Because I'm truly invested in it. Like I want to be in. I want to be deep into it so I can know as much as possible and also show the people that I care.
How is it being on TV now, working with CBS? How is that?
It's good, man. It's good. Like I love still being around ball. I love being able to talk football. Like it would be very weird if I didn't have some tie to the game, because I love watching it, talking about it, breaking it down. At the same time, I have a very difficult time criticizing guys because like I was on the field. Like I know, like you got a guy who breaking down film and he's drawing up the plays and you're like, that's not my assignment. That's not my job. And you just threw all this blame on me on national TV. So I never want to be that guy. So I'm always very careful from that standpoint. But it has been really, really fun still being a part of the game.
Obviously, you can't go Cortland Finnegan here because that was pre you. What's your favorite moment of Andre Johnson in a Texas uniform?
Oh, man. I mean, we still need a statue of Cortland Finnegan outside of our stadium. Like, if we don't get a statue of that, we failed. Like that, we can take his number off of his back or take his name off, but that has, like, we need the statue outside. I'll petition for it to the day. We need that.
And Cortland, you're all right with me, man, but I'm sorry. You keep catching strays. You keep catching strays, man. It's going to go on forever, man.
You know the crazy thing I tell people all the time? I think I get asked about that every day of my life.
I mean, it's the most badass picture
and it's crazy because I almost get to a point to where you're just tired of talking about it. But everybody, like, they come and they be like, what happened? So you have to explain the story over and over and over.
Well, and because it's you, like, everybody who knows you knows, like, you had to do something crazy to get that out of Dre. Like, you would never get that. But I would say for me, in my career with you, that one overtime play against Jacksonville comes to mind immediately, where you took it was like a bubble screen, right?
Bubble screen,
took it all the way to the
pipe.
house. Like, that was awesome. For me, it was like we were talking about before, it's literally the locker room, like walking around the locker room, walking around practice, walking around. I grew up as a Miami fan. I don't know why, because they were awesome when I was a kid, but like it truthfully was like seeing you in our locker room, knowing that I was on the same team, knowing that we were teammates and like buddies. To me, that was cooler than any play on the field. Just knowing that I was fortunate enough to be able to play.
What is the most thing you get asked by fans?
The first thing that comes to mind is just selfies and autographs, because that's obviously it's daily. Lately, which has been a transition, which is interesting. There's a lot of people obviously asking about my brother now. Or sometimes people be like, "Are you TJ?" And I'm like, "Hang on a second. I'm not ready for that, man." Like, which is good. But no, around here it's been they ask about the charity classic a lot. Are we going to do it? Or are we not? And no, I would say
that was always a hell of an event.
It was you guys are what made it great, man.
That was a hell of an event.
And then a lot about the hurricane. Like there's been a lot of people who have just come up and they'll say thank you, and I try and tell them like it was everybody else, man. I'll never forget that for the rest of my life. The way so many different people stepped up and helped.
What is it like, man, to actually, now that you're not playing anymore, to sit and just watch that, to see your brother and the type of player he is in the NFL?
First of all, I'm proud. Like I'm so proud to have watched both of them, to watch Derek play, to watch TJ play. But for TJ especially, because we play a very similar position and we're wired so similarly, as I watch the game, it's like I'm watching myself, and so I can put myself in those situations. I can kind of think what he's thinking. So immediately after the game, we're talking, and I'm like, "What this play? Were you thinking this?" And he'll be like, "Yeah, I was thinking that." Or he'll be like, "I was thinking about possibly using this move." And so, how lucky are we that we get to have these conversations at the highest level of the game that nobody else ever gets to have? Like, to us, it's the coolest thing in the world that my brother calls me and asks about an NFL pass rush move, because we both got to do it at this level. It's really, really cool, man. And I've always said it, but I truthfully hope he breaks every single record I've ever had, and I think he probably will. But if we're talking about best single year ever,
I knew that was coming.
Best single year ever.
But he's going to have the better career. He's going to have the better career. But there's a 4-year stretch where he couldn't touch it.
Stamp it. You talking about cool. How cool is it? You know, obviously we growing up, we got to see like Reggie White and all those guys on the Chunky Soup commercials and all that. Yeah. How cool is it to have your mom and dad in commercials?
It's cool, man. It's cool. It's a lot of fun. The most fun about those is filming them, because like, you know how it is with brothers and sisters. Like, nobody rags on you like your family. So we get into a commercial shoot and we get all of us there, and my dad flubs a line and we just all over him, man. Or like my brother flubs a line, and the outtakes are the best part. So like I said, we're living life experiences that people only dream about, and we know how lucky we are, and we're so thankful. So anytime they come along, we just try and appreciate it.
Ring of Honor. Tell me what that moment was like, man, because I remember sitting on the field with you.
Yeah.
And, you know, you seemed to, like, I could tell it got to you a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's definitely, because it gives you, I always tell people, it gives you a time to reflect on what you've accomplished throughout your career. Tell me about that moment. I remember sitting on the field with you, and you seemed like it kind of.
Yeah, I mean, that was my first time being back in the stadium since I had left on a game day. So there were a ton of emotions just from that standpoint alone, before even myself thinking about what the Ring of Honor and everything meant. Mm-hmm. So walking back into the stadium and seeing the fans and seeing the field laid down and the adrenaline and the emotions, like, it all comes back, and you're just like, damn, like, this is it, man. Like, this is what I love, and this is what I miss. And then you see your name up in the Ring of Honor next to you and Mr. McNair, and you think about how that's going to be there forever.
Right.
And you're like, there's 3 names up there. Right. Like, and those are iconic names that will last forever. And so to see myself up there was an unbelievable honor. And I think that was really one of the first times that I let it, like, hit me about what that meant and what journey led up to that moment, and like all the time and effort and energy that went into it. And at the same time, it was also a little sad moment, because I thought about how I never get to do it again. Right. And that hurt.
I will say that was probably the first time I ever saw you, like, really, out of all the times I've ever been around you, I felt like it kind of got to you a little bit. And,
especially with all the guys there, because there were so many old teammates and everything, and like you guys all there.
It was a big turnout.
And seeing everybody, like, I'm like, I would give anything to be back on the field with these dudes. Like, because just like we said, it's the locker room. Like, I would love to be back out there and watch OD catch a touchdown, or I'd love to be out there and see Mario coming off the edge for a sack. Like, just those memories all came back, and knowing that we don't get to do that again. That's the interesting part about our job that other jobs don't have. Like, everybody else, you can be an accountant until you die if you want. Ours, you physically can't do it forever. And so that finite time is what makes it so special, but it was also what makes it hurt so bad at the end.
Right. Because you build relationships playing a kid's game, and those relationships last forever. So, like, even just, like, being here with you now, it brings up so many memories to where it's like, damn, like, I wish we could be back in the locker room again. So I definitely understand where you're coming from with that.
It lets us hold on to our childhood for way longer than anybody else.
For sure, right? Now you get that part for
That's
sure.
really what it is. Like, we got to be kids for way longer than everybody else. And then finally one day they're like, hey, man, it's time to grow up. And you're like, no, like I don't want to. So trust me, when people are like, you're gonna come out of retirement, like that part of me is like, yeah, let me be a kid again. Let me be that child again. And, man, nobody. I agree with you. People don't understand.
So, are you coming out of retirement?
How long you been retired? 2
years.
2?
2, 3.
That's
2, 3.
I just turned 36 2 days ago.
So, happy belated. No,
I'm good. My body feels great. I got a great family. Trust me, man.
You don't want to restart the clock on that.
It crossed my mind many times because I wanted, like.
D'Amico could get you right. You know,
the thing that I always remember is that at some point it is going to end. Like, no matter even if I came back, trust me, I've thought about this a lot. No matter even if I came back, at some point that final day is coming. Right. So, like, do I want to go through it all again and have that pain and that agony again? Like, I feel like I've been handling it mentally and everything, and starting over, handling it all over again would be very tough.
I know for me, when I retired, it was like maybe after that second year of being retired, I was like, I can go back and do that.
Yeah.
So,
trust me, I still absolutely feel like
that was 2 years ago, still thinking. I was 38.
But what's crazy about it is because people see you and they see, like, you know, like I still go to the gym, I work out, and they see it and they like, man, you know, and it almost makes you question, like, can I really go do this? But for me, it took for me to put some cleats on one day and take off running, and I was just like, nah, I can't do it no more.
No, man, because like there's days in the off season where I'll still train with my brother, and like I'll still see, like, all right, can I keep up with the get offs? Like, can I keep up with the weights? Like, that's one thing that, just like we talked about earlier, I haven't been able to let go of the workout part of it. I still run, I still train, I still lift. I don't know what for. Every day, like when I wake up and I look at my workout and it says like heavy squats today, I'm like, why? Like it doesn't mean anything.
I had to stop it. That's why, because when I was doing it, I thought I still could play.
Right. Like that's like, there's definitely a part of me that's like, dude, I think you're out squatting half the D line right now. Like, you could do it, you know? But I also think it makes it harder. Like it's almost would have been better if I just stopped and just ate a bunch of food and like got fat, because then I'm like, no, you can't. But I'm like you, man. There's a part of me that's like, no doubt.
Biggest thrill as a Texan?
In my opinion, it's by far that first playoff run that we had. And then obviously the second year backing it up and trying to go again. But winning our first ever playoff game for an organization, everything that came with it, nothing better. Like those memories are something that I will cherish for the rest of my life.
Well, you earned yourself a gold jacket. I'll be the first to tell you that if you haven't yourself, you know. Yeah, but Dre had to wait a little bit. How happy was you when you was able to see Dre get that call, get that knock on the door, man?
It was the greatest, man. There's nothing better than seeing that, somebody who's earned it, somebody who deserves it. To be the first one for this organization because of everything that he had to go through. Like, one of the greatest receivers to ever play the game, and did it on an expansion team that didn't have all the tools and resources around him to be great. Yet he still overcame all that and became unbelievably great. I'm very curious from your standpoint. Do you wonder what it would have been like if you played your career with like an established organization, or you weren't helping build an organization, if you were drafted to a team that was a contender immediately?
You know, to be honest, Judge, I never thought about it. Like, I always tell people, it was my first Pro Bowl, and I remember, so you know when they call the teams up to take the pictures, and I was the only guy there from the Texans. And when they said the Houston Texans, the guy was like, "Who the hell is here from the Texans?" And I was like what? Like you know, like it was almost like it was disrespect,
no doubt.
You know. And I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like that's something that fueled me. Like I took that disrespect and I was just like, you know what, like.
Yeah.
When you think about the Texans, you don't think about me.
Yeah.
You know, and that was always like my attitude. That was the way I approached it. For me to go somewhere that was already established, like I don't think I might have won or experienced a little bit more success. But I think the way that this happened and the relationships I was able to build just with the city and the fans, I wouldn't change it for nothing more.
I always think about that because obviously people measure careers in Super Bowls.
Right.
And like I look at you and I'm like, so we're going to judge him off of 0 Super Bowl rings because he was drafted to an expansion franchise and went through 10 different quarterbacks. Like, put him on one of these other teams, 5 Super Bowl rings, no doubt. Like, to me, that's always been such a tough marker because of that.
If it was one thing I could change, it would be winning the Super Bowl. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because I just know how excited this city would have been. Like, that's the one, because I know when it happens, I know it's gonna be crazy.
Pictured it many times in my head, man. That parade would be insane.
Yes. I'm glad you put it that way, JJ. I never thought about it that way. Many times we talk as in, because you get caught up on quarterbacks. But this team was still building itself.
Yeah.
Right.
It was still building itself. Like, I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be plenty growing pains, naturally.
So I got here the second year of the team.
Yeah.
He basically put a franchise on your back and said, come with me. I'm going to take you there.
Yeah.
And, like, is it your fault that you couldn't take it all the way to the championship? No. Like, you took it way farther. You know what I mean? Like people are stupid. Like you lifted it further than it would have gone. So,
top 5 D linemen all time.
I mean, I think Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor, Aaron Donald, myself, and Bruce Smith. It's just off the top of my head.
That's a hell of a
list. Sap can't be mad.
It's just off the top of my head.
Sap will get hot.
It's just the top of my head.
You know, I can't wait. I really can't wait to be in Canton again to see you get that gold jacket, because you definitely deserve it.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. One and done, my man.
Appreciate you, man. I had a lot of good people help me along the way. I'm very fortunate. Unbelievable memories here, teammates, coaches. Met my wife here. Have a beautiful son now, another one on the way. So it's a very special place, very special memories, man. And I'm very, very thankful for it all. It's a pretty incredible life.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you, man. You know, we love you to death, brother. So happy you came in here and hung out with us today, man. Glad you're back in the city.
Appreciate you, boys.
Absolutely. It's weird. Everybody normally is older than us.